The early 20th century was a time of unprecedented change and turmoil. The Great War, the war to end all wars, had left deep scars across Europe. Nations were exhausted, economies shattered, and a generation lost. In the ashes of this conflict, the Treaty of Versailles was signed, imposing heavy reparations and territorial losses on Germany. This punitive peace, intended to prevent future conflict, instead sowed the seeds of resentment and instability. Across Europe, new ideologies began to take root in this fertile ground of despair. In Italy, Benito Mussolini and his fascist party rose to power, promising order and national glory. In Germany, a nation grappling with hyperinflation and political chaos, Adolf Hitler and his Nazi party captivated a disillusioned populace with promises to restore German honor and strength. In the Far East, the Empire of Japan, driven by militarism and a desire for resources, embarked on an aggressive expansion into mainland Asia, starting with the invasion of Manchuria in 1931. The world was on a collision course, and the fragile peace was about to shatter. The first domino fell on September 1st, 1939. Under the guise of a fabricated Polish attack, German forces invaded Poland. Employing a new form of warfare called blitzkrieg, or lightning war, armored divisions and air power smashed through Polish defenses with devastating speed and coordination. 2 days later, Britain and France, honoring their alliance with Poland, declared war on Germany. World War II had begun. The initial months were known as the Phony War, a period of tense quiet on the Western Front. But in the spring of 1940, the German war machine roared back to life. Denmark and Norway fell in quick succession. Then, in May, Germany launched its audacious assault on France, bypassing the heavily fortified Maginot Line by invading through the Ardennes forest. The Allied forces were caught completely off guard. Trapped against the coast, over 300,000 British and French soldiers were evacuated from Dunkirk in a miraculous rescue operation involving a flotilla of military and civilian vessels. But it was not enough. By June 22, 1940, France had surrendered. Hitler stood in Paris, and Britain stood alone. With continental Europe under his control, Hitler turned his sights on Great Britain. The Battle of Britain was a campaign fought entirely in the skies. The German Luftwaffe sought to gain air superiority as a prelude to a sea invasion, codenamed Operation Sea Lion. Day after day, German bombers escorted by fighters targeted British airfields, factories, and eventually, cities. But the Royal Air Force, though outnumbered, fought back with tenacity and courage. With the advantage of radar and fighting over home territory, British pilots inflicted heavy losses on the Luftwaffe. By late 1940, Hitler was forced to indefinitely postpone the invasion. Prime Minister Winston Churchill famously paid tribute to the RAF pilots. Never in the field of human conflict was so much owed by so many to so few. Frustrated in the West, Hitler made a fateful decision. On June 22, 1941, he launched Operation Barbarossa, the largest land invasion in history, against his supposed ally, the Soviet Union. 3 massive German army groups surged eastward, aiming to conquer the vast territory and its resources. Initially, the invasion was a staggering success. The Red Army was caught unprepared, and millions of Soviet soldiers were killed or captured as the Germans advanced deep into Russian territory, reaching the outskirts of Moscow. But the brutal Russian winter arrived early, halting the German advance. Ill-equipped for the cold, the German army froze in its tracks, its lightning war bogged down in the snow and mud. The war on the Eastern Front would become a brutal, grinding war of attrition, consuming millions of lives. While Europe was engulfed in war, the United States maintained a policy of neutrality, though it supplied the Allies through the Lend-Lease Act. This changed irrevocably on December 7, 1941. In a surprise attack, Japanese naval aircraft struck the US Pacific Fleet at Pearl Harbor, Hawaii. The assault was devastating, sinking or damaging numerous battleships and killing over 2,400 Americans. The next day, President Franklin D. Roosevelt declared it a date which will live in infamy, and the United States Congress declared war on Japan. Germany and Italy, in turn, declared war on the United States, officially bringing the industrial and military might of America into the global conflict. The war was now truly global, fought across multiple theaters. In North Africa, British and Commonwealth forces battled German and Italian troops for control of the Suez Canal and Middle Eastern oil fields. The legendary Desert Fox, German Field Marshal Erwin Rommel, led his Africa Corps in a series of brilliant campaigns. But the tide turned at the Second Battle of El Alamein in late 1942, where British forces under General Bernard Montgomery won a decisive victory. Shortly after, American and British troops landed in northwest Africa in Operation Torch, catching the Axis forces in a pincer. By May 1943, all Axis resistance in North Africa had collapsed. Simultaneously, the most pivotal battle of the war was raging on the Eastern Front. The German Sixth Army was locked in a brutal, house-to-house struggle for the city of Stalingrad. For Hitler, capturing the city bearing his rival's name was a matter of immense prestige. For Stalin, its defense was a matter of national survival. In November 1942, the Soviets launched a massive counteroffensive, Operation Uranus, encircling the entire German army in Stalingrad. Cut off and starving in a harsh winter, the Germans fought on, but on February 2, 1943, the remnants of the Sixth Army surrendered. The Battle of Stalingrad was a catastrophic defeat for Germany and is widely considered the turning point of the war in Europe. The myth of German invincibility was shattered, and the long, bloody retreat to Berlin had begun. With the Axis on the defensive, the Allies prepared for the final liberation of Europe. On June 6, 1944, D-Day, the largest amphibious invasion in history, was launched. Over 150,000 Allied soldiers landed on the beaches of Normandy, France. Under a hail of machine gun fire and artillery, they clawed their way ashore, establishing a vital beachhead. The cost was immense, but the foothold was secured. From Normandy, the Allies broke out and began the push across France, liberating Paris in August 1944. As Allied armies advanced from the west, the Soviet Red Army relentlessly pushed from the east. Germany was being squeezed from both sides. As Allied forces pushed deep into Germany and liberated occupied territories, they uncovered the full, unimaginable horror of the Holocaust. Concentration and extermination camps like Auschwitz, Dachau, and Treblinka revealed a systematic, industrial-scale genocide. The Nazis had murdered 6 million Jews, along with millions of others they deemed undesirable, including Roma people, homosexuals, disabled individuals, and political prisoners. The discovery of these atrocities exposed the depraved core of the Nazi ideology and left an indelible stain on human history. In the Pacific, the war against Japan was a different kind of fight, waged across vast ocean expanses and tiny, fortified islands. After the initial shock of Pearl Harbor, the US Navy dealt a decisive blow to the Japanese fleet at the Battle of Midway in June 1942, a turning point in the Pacific War. From there, the Allies began a grueling island-hopping campaign, capturing key islands to use as stepping stones for an eventual invasion of Japan. Battles on islands like Guadalcanal, Iwo Jima, and Okinawa were incredibly fierce, characterized by brutal jungle warfare and a Japanese refusal to surrender, often resulting in fighting to the last man. By 1945, the war in Europe was nearing its end. In late April, Soviet troops fought their way into Berlin. Adolf Hitler, hiding in his bunker, took his own life. On May 8, 1945, Germany officially surrendered. The war in Europe was over, a day celebrated as VE Day. But in the Pacific, Japan fought on. Facing the prospect of a costly invasion of the Japanese mainland, US President Harry Truman made a momentous decision. On August 6, 1945, an American B-29 bomber dropped an atomic bomb on the city of Hiroshima. 3 days later, a second bomb was dropped on Nagasaki. The devastation was unprecedented. Faced with this new, terrifying weapon and a Soviet invasion of Manchuria, Emperor Hirohito intervened. On August 15th, Japan announced its surrender, officially signing the documents on September 2nd, 1945, finally bringing World War II to a close. The war left the world transformed. It was the deadliest conflict in human history, with an estimated 70 to 85 million fatalities. It redrew the map of the world, led to the decline of old empires, and saw the rise of two new superpowers, the United States and the Soviet Union, setting the stage for the Cold War. In its aftermath, the United Nations was formed with the hope of preventing such a catastrophe from ever happening again. The legacy of World War II is complex and profound, a somber reminder of humanity's capacity for both destruction and resilience, a story of sacrifice and heroism that continues to shape our world today. Thank you for watching. If you found this documentary informative, please consider subscribing for more historical content.